Welcome to my video tutorial for seaming the Brioche My Heart mug mats so that you can create an adorable pillow. So here I've knit two Brioche My Hearts and I've knit them both exactly the same. I used a single ply fingering weight for the main color, which is by La Bien-Aimée. They're merino singles in color Tang. My son actually picked out these two colors because I'm making this for him, for my 6-year-old. So that's my main color. And for my contrast color, which I'll flip this over, I didn't choose. My son, my 6-year-old, chose this DK weight. So I did a combination of fingering weight and DK for the contrast color. And this is by Wobble Gobble Yarn. They're merino DK in color Blue Fin. And I'll also put this information in the description with links to their websites. These were both leftovers from previous projects. So this is a perfect pattern for using up those little bits and bobs and leftovers. There's a little end there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to seam these two together using the Mattress Stitch. You might already be familiar with this method of seaming two knits together. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it. And it's basically invisible. So what I did was I wove in all of my ends and blocked both of my hearts, except I left one very long end in my main color. So when I bound the heart off, this is the bind off edge here. I just left a very long tail. I left a little bit too much, but I would recommend just leaving, 4 times the circumference. Okay, so the other tools I have with me are some safety pins, and I will use these to hold the two hearts together while I seam, and then a tapestry needle, which is what I'll use to work the mattress stitch, and then some scissors. So I don't actually need these yarns. I'm going to kind of put them over to the side. Okay, so I'm going to take, first before I pin them together, I'm just going to thread my yarn onto my tapestry needle. And the size of your tapestry needle doesn't really matter for this. So if you're more comfortable using a larger one or a bent one, that's totally fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put these together with the contrast sides facing, because when I create this seam, I actually want to keep this. So this is my selvage edge here. I actually want to keep this on the outside, right? Because if we put the right sides or the main sides together, that would be on the inside, and I actually want to keep this outline. Okay, so I'm just going to align these and carefully safety pin them together. I'm just going to make sure that I'm lining them up, because when you're working the mattress stitch, we're going to be going under the ladders or these yarns that are in between the selvage stitch and this next brioche stitch, okay? So you kind of want to make sure that you line those up. So that's what we're going to be doing with the mattress stitch with this one. And it's a very good way of seaming these together. Okay, so I'm just carefully safety pinning them together. This will help keep it stable as I'm seaming. sure that that is lined up. I mean, you don't need to do very many, just to make sure that it doesn't slip and slide around on you. And I'll do, this one's a little bit off. Okay, almost there. I'm just going to safety pin this bottom point together so that that lines up nicely. Okay. Okay, so we're starting here at the edge where I trim, where I finished binding off. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here so you can really see what I'm doing. So I'm going to first start with, because the yarn is coming from this heart, I'm going to start with this heart. And I'm going to start here at this point or edge of the heart. And I'm going to go find that ladder there. It might be a little tricky, but you just want to go through the ladder like that. Kind of grab that ladder. I call it a ladder, but it's like a strand of yarn. So yeah, I've got sort of this long, and I'm using a single ply, so sometimes it can get a little sticky. They like to stick to each other. So then you can pull it tight there. And then you want to go to, because it's already stable with this yarn, we can go to the next ladder, which you can see is this strand here. But we're going to go from the contrast side to the main side and back around to the contrast side. So you can see where I picked up. You want to grab both of those kind of yarn strands. Pull that through. I'm not going to pull it too tightly so you can kind of see how cool the mattress stitch is. So now you want to make sure that you go directly across to this ladder here so you can see those two strands. We're going to go from the contrast side to the main side and then around to grab those strands. Okay, and now we'll just do the same thing again. We'll find the next ladder. So here's the next one. Okay, we'll come in from the contrast side and go grab them, go back around. Okay, so you'll just continue this for all the way around your heart. So I'm going to grab this one next. Okay, so you can kind of see these are the seamed kind of the ladders in between. And if I pull on my yarn, they will all tighten up really nicely. So then when you're finished seaming your heart, it will just look like these two selvage edges will be right next to each other. Okay, and you'll see a little bit of this. This is a brioche stitch here. So you can kind of see the yarn overs. So I want that. That's a design feature that I want to enhance. So that's just my personal preference. So that's how I'm seaming this. So, you know, honestly, if you have a better way of seaming or a way that you like to do better, please feel free to do that. This is just how I did it, and I wanted to show you how I did it. So we'll continue this all the way around the heart, okay? And I would stop with about, I don't know, 2 inches maybe, 2 or 3 inches. You could even stop right here. And then grab some fiberfill. I'll meet you back here, but I'm using just some regular polyfill for mine to stuff it. I mean, you can use whatever you have on hand if you want to use, you know, cotton balls or fabric, you know, scrap fabric, something like that. So I just have some of this polyfill. So I'm going to use that to stuff my little pillow. So I'm going to off camera, well, I'll do a few more here on camera, but then off camera, I'll finish my heart till about here. And then I'll show you how to stuff it to make it a fun little plushy pillow. I don't know about you, but my boys love plushies. They have so many stuffed animals. So many. Like I can't even count how many they have. And so I wanted to make them these little pillow plushies for Valentine's Day. My youngest son's birthday is near Valentine's Day too, so it always is a little special. I'm actually going to go around both at the same time. It's another way you can do it. Kind of go through both sides with your needle and then just pull the yarn through. This yarn is sticky, but hopefully that means that I got a little knot. Okay, so that's how it's looking. And I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to finish my seaming my heart. Okay, and I'll meet you back here to stuff it and finish it up. Okay, I'm back. I've worked the seam all the way to here. And I got to these cast-on stitches. So I wanted to show you how to work these because they're a little bit different than the edge stitches. Okay, so this is where you cast on the 9 stitches for the beginning. So it's just going to be more of the same, but your seams will just be a little closer together. Okay, so I'm going to go underneath these ladders here. Okay, so I pulled that one through. And so now I went through this one. Now I'm going to go through this one here. And I'll take it through this one here. Okay, so there you go. There's all what the cast on stitches will look like. So I'm just gonna keep on going and I'll see you back. All right, I'm coming up to the very bottom point, and I just wanted to show you how to seam in the bind off stitches, because here you can see I worked it's still a mattress stitch, but the bind off stitches look a little bit different. I love these little these little like picots. So I just wanted to show you. Let me remove this safety pin. I've been removing the safety pins as I go. So it's the same basic idea. You just want to go, so here's the bind off stitch right here. So I want to go kind of between the stitches. So here's a bound off stitch and here's a bound off stitch. So it's kind of like if you're picking up stitches to knit, you just want to go under both of them and pull the thread and pull the yarn through. And then just do that on the next one. So I would go under this stitch and around and under this stitch. And I'm almost to the point, and then we'll start stuffing. Okay, I'm just going to kind of round it. Go through a couple more here. This is so satisfying. Okay. Okay. Very nice. Didn't quite exactly line up like I wanted it to. But this looks nice. Okay. So now I have this opening here. Okay. And you can see it'll be a nice, cute little pillow. So I'm just going to start taking some fiberfill. I'm actually curious what this is going to look like, because, you know, brioche is a little bit more open. That's why one of the reasons I chose a DK weight yarn for the contrast side, and I use size 5 needles, size US 5, and just so that it would be a little bit denser on the inside. So I'm curious how this is going to be, like if the fiberfill will poke out a little bit. But so far so good. I mean, I think it's looking really, like you might be able to see it a little bit in the holes right there, but I think it'll be pretty safe. And you know, it's a handmade pillow. It's supposed to be, you know, nice and handmade and perfect. Not completely perfect, but you know, have that special handmade touch to it. So I'm gonna kind of overstuff it a little bit in here. so that once I seam it together, I can sort of even out the stuffing a little bit, because I don't want the stuffing to be right next to me while I'm seaming. All right, I'll put a little bit more in there. Should I put a little bit more in? I don't want it to be too... Brioche is so stretchy, you could probably add a lot of stuffing in there. I'll add a little more. Okay, I think that's good. And then that will even out once I finish seaming this up. So now all you have to do is finish seaming this up and then, you know, put your final end in and then just weave it in. What's nice is that because it's brioche, you can just weave in your end, like take your final end and weave it under the yarn overs like this, and then trim it, and it will be perfectly safe. So you won't see it. You don't have to, you don't have to worry about seeing it again. So yeah, I'm just going to seam this up. I'm so excited to give this to my son. I'm going to knit one for my oldest son. He picked out some yarn too. And I haven't knit his yet though. So I'm excited to make him one too. He likes the more red, like traditional red, Valentine's red colors. These colors are a bit off trend for Valentine's Day, but that's kind of cool. Okay, so I'm just going to finish seaming this up. So yeah, I'll come back and show you my my finished pillow after I'm done seaming. Okay, so I've almost finished seaming up, and I wanted to just show you how to finish up your pillow. I'm going to get that stuffing out of there. So I'm just going to seam up these last few stitches. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to stick my end down through here to kind of stabilize it in there. And now I will just take my end and I'm going to weave it underneath these yarn overs in the contrast color. These single ply loves to make little knots, don't they? Go under a couple more. Okay. Now I'm going to trim that. Yeah, see, I had a little bit left over. I'm just going to kind of give that a tug to hide it underneath there. And so there we go. It's all done. I always get little high-pitched voices when I when I make something really cute. Oh my gosh, it's so squishy. So yeah, there we go. Oh, I love it so much. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. I love, love, love this pattern. It's great for, you know, anything. You can just make the, you know, make one heart and then have it be a mug mat by itself, like this one. I have a little mug here. So it can be a little decorative mug mat. You can make a bunch and string them together for a cute bunting. And yeah, those are just a few of the options that I recommend. And I have a link down in the description so you can get your own pattern either on Ravelry or knitgraffiti.com. And I hope you enjoyed this, and happy Valentine's Day!